Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we'll be going over a full card predictions for UFC Saudi Arabia in Riyadh. Robert Whittaker versus Ikram Aliskerov. Obviously, it's a big step up in competition for Ikram Aliskerov against a very, very well-rounded elite level fighter in Robert Whittaker. We'll be analysing things from a picks prediction standpoint and from a betting perspective as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. Actually, one more thing, guys. If you guys want a best bets video for this card, turn over my betting guide, picking my best, choosing the fights I'm going to bet on, and posting my slips, etc. Please get me to 50 likes. I'll do that for you guys. So, what is a bankroll? Of course, before we are a betting channel here. I want you guys to avoid a lot of the pitfalls I went through. So make sure you guys have a bankroll. Recommend the staking strategies. Personally, I risk between 0.25 and 1.25% on my selections. Also, keep in mind that we are trying to grind. We're trying to use the UFC betting markets as an investment vehicle, as an investment tool to grow our wealth and compound our profits. And treat it like day trading, guys. Don't treat it like gambling. Treat it like an investment vehicle. And also, the betting process is an ongoing battle. A lot of these lines are very much subject to change. So at the moment, on a particular fight, there might not be much value. There might not be worth risking a bet on it. But as the week progresses, the line changes. You might put the bet on, maybe discuss a few fights with a few close associates who, they could give you a new perspective of the matchup. Shout out to BJ Pen 85. You know who you are. And yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So first fight of the night, we got Sedriques Dumas versus Denis Tiuliulin. Of course, this is a short notice matchup for Sedriques Dumas. So question marks on whether he's been training properly. He's a guy who likes taking, we just say, grass, and this is Saudi Arabia, so that's something to keep in mind. But jokes aside, Denis Tiuliulin, he's really got a kickboxing style. Boxing is his preferred method of attack. He looks to pressure his opponents and be aggressive, put volume on them. When it comes to his grappling, though, he's a weak defensive grappler. He can get controlled, and he's also not really the most athletically gifted fighter in the UFC. So I think he's going to really, really struggle. And when he's taken up the steps up in competition, the UFC kind of uses this guy as like a stepping stone for fighters that they want to push and promote. And yeah, but he's faced some high level guys. Now, Sedriques Dumas, on the other hand, he's primarily a striker. He's he's a very, very good athlete. He's very, very athletic. He's got good speed. He tries to fight along, using his reach advantage, and he can mix up his grappling. I think he's like a better offensive grappler versus like a defensive one. I feel as he does struggle against very, very strong offensive grapplers. If you have a good ground game, I think you can have some success with him. So how these two match up from actually, I also want to mention that Denis Tiuliulin does kind of seem to slow and get worse as the fight progresses. Now, keys to victory, how these two match up from a skill set perspective and from a betting perspective as well. I imagine Dumas is probably going to want to keep this fight at range, use his reach advantage, look to land at distance, and avoid heavy exchanges and avoid getting into a brawl. Maybe Dumas is smart and he can mix up some grappling as well. Denis Tiuliulin, on the other hand, he's going to want to pressure Dumas, cutting off the cage, looking to land a powerful strike early. And he's got to manage his cardio, in my opinion, who I think is going to win. I'm going to have a slight lean towards Dumas here because I do think he has the athleticism. I think he's going to be much more athletic than Denis Tiuliulin. I think he can keep the fight out of range and just kind of outpoint Tiuliulin and possibly even mix up his grappling and secure a submission on the ground. Now, from a betting perspective, Dumas is a guy that is pretty hard to trust. It's just hard to get super duper passionate about betting him. He's prone to making bad mistakes inside the cage and outside the cage as well. In his fight against Riydah, yeah, it was a bad eye poke. The ref should have called that off, but he did kind of quit in there, kind of wilted in there. But the odds keep improving. At the moment, he's 2-1. But he should definitely be the favourite in this spot, in my opinion. I'm going to give him a low to medium level confidence pick. From a live betting perspective, I'll look at Dumas if he's able to keep Tiuliulin at range. And also keep an eye out for Tiuliulin's gas tank and cardio concerns. And you might want to jump in on a live bet on Dumas. So next fight we have here, we got Xiao versus Li. Now this, in my opinion, guys, is an extremely tricky fight to get a strong read on. And personally, I would avoid this from a betting perspective because Li, there's only like 3 fights that we could find on him when it comes to his footage. And in 2 of them, he was just getting dominated with the grappling. So it's hard to get a strong read on his style. He looks to be like a southpaw striker, looks to be active, maybe aggressive, but I'm kind of guessing it. All I really know about Li is his defensive grappling. It's definitely his weak point in this matchup. Now, Xiao, again, like, there's more footage on Xiao, but like, for a guy with a record of 26-8, you just would have thought that there would just be tons and tons of footage on this guy. But again, looks like a weak defensive grappler. He's got like a unique fighting style. He's mainly a striker. His stance, and he kind of reminds me of like a Nick Diaz, the way he fights, the way he boxes. I'm not too big on his overall upside in the UFC. The bantamweight division is a very, very tough division. So, yeah, because of this, like, it's hard to get a read on this fight. I'm kind of flipping a coin here. I'm going to pick Li here because I think he could be better, but from a betting perspective, I'm definitely going to be leaving this one alone. From a live betting perspective, I'm just going to score the fight round by round and see if we can get a read on Li more, see how they match up from a skill set perspective. But yeah, so very, very low confidence on Li in the spot. So next fight we have here, we got a guy's name I don't even want to pronounce. I'm going to call it Magomed versus Ribeiro. So when it comes to Magomed, he is mainly a striker. He's got a kick-based style of striking. He's got good technique, good speed for a light heavyweight. He throws a wide range of kicking attacks, including side kicks and spinning kicks. He has good boxing as well, but he prefers to keep the fight at range, utilizing his kicks. When it comes to the grappling aspect of his game, he shows some good takedown capabilities and good ground control for a light heavyweight. He's been facing low-level guys, though, and he hasn't really been properly tested. So there's a good chance he could get fraud checked. I'm not saying he's going to get fraud checked in this matchup, but going forwards, I need more film and I need to see more fight experience from him before I can get a super duper strong read on his style and call him in like a top tier prospect. He did kind of fatigue in round 3 in his Dana White Contender Series. Now, Brendson, on the other hand, he has a boxing and a low kick game. He's not a bad offensive striker. Like, I think he's got some good offensive striking capabilities, but when it comes to his flaws, I think his defensive capabilities is where he doesn't really shine as much. He just often leaves his chin up in there, asking to get knocked out. And he doesn't like being pressured. He does not feel comfortable when being pressured, and his opponent's really putting it on him. He's a bad nail, good hammer, I would say. Same goes for his grappling as well. Good hammer, bad nail. I'm going to pick Magomed here, because I just think he's more well-rounded. He could probably mix up some grappling. I think Brendson's just a bad nail, and he doesn't really do well under adversity. So because of that, it's going to be a low to medium level confidence pick on Magomed. Now, from a bet perspective, he's still quite unproven. So odds of 1.22, which is almost 4-1. That's a steep price to pay. So I'll probably leave this one alone, but Magomed definitely should be the favorite in the spot. From a live betting perspective, tricky one. Magomed has success early, then the line's probably going to be cooked. We have to make Brendson make this fight competitive. Maybe he could test the cardio on Magomed again, put the pressure, and maybe Magomed starts to fatigue, or maybe starts fatiguing earlier. But yeah, I think Magomed's most likely going to win this fight. But these guys are light heavyweights, right? So 80% implied odds, they're going to swing. But so you've got to be careful. I'm only saying this stuff because it's a steep price to pay. There's less margin for error when you're paying these prices. So yeah, give me Magomed in the spot, low to medium level confidence. So next fight we have here, we got Kang versus Muin Gafurov. Now, when it comes to Gafurov, he's got a dynamic, explosive style of attack. He looks to really, really explode with all of his striking techniques. To me, I'm not 100% convinced with Gafurov yet, if I'm being honest, guys. Now, he looks to, when it comes to his level, I think he's just below the mid-level of the bantamweights. So he looks to be explosive with his striking attacks and looks to like really throw everything with his style of attack. He will mix up his offensive grappling as well if the opportunity presents himself. But again, I think his grappling is just below the mid-levels of the bantamweights. And also, in my opinion, he's a little bit undersized for a bantamweight. Kang, on the other hand, he's very, very upright, very tall for and lengthy for bantamweight. I'll say his level, again, is mid to maybe just below the mid of the bantamweights. He likes to try and fight long on the feet to keep people just outside of his long reach. He has a preference of using his boxing and just keeping out of range. Again, he's like a mid-level grappler, in my opinion. Kang is 36, so that does give me concerns in this particular matchup. You never know with these guys, they start declining quick overnight. And he's also faced a higher level of competition inside the UFC. Gafurov is probably going to have the more eye-catching moments in this matchup, but this is a tricky fight to predict. I'm going to pick Kang here because it's definitely going to be a low confidence pick here. I'm going to pick Kang here because I just think he's a little bit more proven inside the UFC. I'm not 100% convinced with Gafurov, and I think Kang could just kind of outstrike him, outpoint him in a competitive fight. But Gafurov's probably going to have the more eye-catcher moments. Kind of 50-50 with this one, but I'm going to have a slight lean towards Kang because I have to pick a winner, right? So from a betting perspective, the money's been coming in on Gafurov. So the betting market thinks Gafurov, the younger guy, he's going to have the more eye-catching moments. Maybe he's making improvements to his game. From a live betting perspective, I'll keep an eye on whether Kang is able to keep Gafurov at range, and Gafurov is struggling to maybe close the distance and land his shots. And because he's so explosive and he puts everything into these power shots, he might start to fatigue as the fight progresses. So yeah, low confidence on Kang in this matchup. So next fight we have here, we got Rinat Fakhretdinov versus Nicolas Dalby. Now, when it comes to Rinat, he's mainly a grappler, has a good wrestling style of grappling, good takedown entries, good grappling control. Overall, I'd say like a solid style MMA grappler. I don't think he's elite, but he's not terrible either. I think he's solid. A lot of people think before this Aliskerov fight, that this guy could be like a next champion. I don't really see him at that level. He does seem to have heavy hands on the feet, but his grappling is definitely his strong suit when it comes to his style. On the feet, he mainly throws singular power shots, preferably boxing, to set up his grappling style. He also did, in his fight against Zaleski dos Santos, he did tire badly in round 3 and he got 10-8'd, which I don't love to see. Now, Dalby, on the other hand, he low-key looked career best at age 39. Like maybe he's, doing some, I'm not saying, maybe he's doing a little something. He's got a pressure fighter style. He looks to overwhelm his opponents by putting a pace that they cannot keep up with. So he throws constant volume, constant activity. He doesn't really like giving his opponents any breathing rooms. And he'll keep coming forwards, keep attacking, push you up against a fence, just make it a gritty, grindy fight. I think he's like an okay offensive grappler, and he does get stronger as the fight progresses. He's a bit of a slow starter, but in this matchup, and he does have a weakness when it comes to grapplers. He's shown a proneness to be taken down and controlled. For example, Bonfim took him down in round 1, took him down in round 2. Claudio Silva was taking him down. Wally Alves. So he's got a history of struggling against grappling. Now, from a betting perspective, I agree with Rinat being a favourite here because of his perceived grappling advantages and his age. But I do think Rinat's a tad bit overrated. So if Dalby is able to, make Rinat work, extend the fight, and take this fight to round 2, round 3, where on Rinat's cardio, I think he could possibly win the fight. So that's possible live betting strategy there for you guys. So I'm going to have to pick Rinat Fakhretdinov here. It's going to be a low to medium level confidence pick because of his perceived grappling advantages in this matchup. From a betting perspective, let's see the odds. I think some money's been coming in on Rinat, which is fair enough. He's almost minus 300 now. I'll probably leave that one alone. Maybe if you guys got some of the earlier lines, like 1.4. Sorry, guys, I'm mainly a decimal odds guy. I think that's probably let that ride. But at minus 300, I'll leave it alone. I wouldn't go huge on this fight. This is the type of fight that I could see an upset in. So, yeah, I wouldn't go massive, putting everything on it. Good bankroll management, good risk management. So, yeah, give me Rinat in this spot to win this fight via decision, if not possible finish. So next fight we have here, we got Nasrat Haqparast versus Jared Gordon. Now, when it comes to Nasrat Haqparast, he's got a southpaw boxer style, sharp, fast, overall very, very good boxing technique and strong boxing fundamentals. His left hand is definitely his power hand, and I like how he throws in combinations. His striking is also complemented with good footwork and a nice high guard. Now, when it comes to his grappling, his offensive grappling looked okay against Magomedov. He secured some good takedowns, etc. But when it comes to defensive aspects of his grappling game, he struggled against Dan Hooker. He showed some good takedown defense fundamentals in the beginning stages of the fight. But as Hooker was able to wear on him, Hooker was able to have grappling success. He also got taken down by Alex Munoz, but, he worked straight back up to his feet. And we haven't really seen his grappling get properly tested because he's mainly been facing and being matched up with strikers. Now, when we go to the Jared Gordon side, Jared Gordon is, I think he's a bit of an underrated fighter. I think he gets too much hate in the community. He has a boxing style of attack. I say he's like a good boxer. He's also a BJJ black belt. He's heavy on top, but he doesn't really have the strongest offensive grappling game and the wrestling skills to take the fight down to the mat. How these two match up, I think Nasrat is going to be the much more effective striker in the spot. I think he's sharper, faster, more clean, more powerful, going to have the more eye-catching moments for the judges. And I don't think Gordon has strong enough offensive level grappling and the wrestling skill set to take the fight down to the mat. So because of that, it's going to have to be a medium level confidence pick on Nasrat. From a betting perspective, of course, you're paying the steep price, right? You're almost paying 70% implied odds, but I'd much rather be on the Nasrat Haqparast side from a betting perspective than be on Jared Gordon, because I do think Nasrat is going to secure the victory in this matchup. From a live betting perspective, just keep an eye out for a potentially competitive fight. Maybe Gordon can make this fight very, very competitive and he can just score a fight round by round. So next fight we have here, we got, oh yes, this is probably the fight I'm most looking forward to be honest with you. We've got Shara Magomedov versus Joilton Lutterbach. Sorry if I'm butchering that, guys. So when we go to the Shara side, high level, diverse, kicks a base style of striker. He also has good lateral movement. He's got very, very good kicking technique and a very, very good kick space style of attack. He throws a wide range of kicking techniques from roundhouse kicks, low kicks, side kicks, even like axe kicks. Sets up his kicking game very, very effectively. He's also nasty in the clinch as well. He's able to land elbows and nasty knees inside the clinch positions. Now, when it comes to his grappling, he looked weak off his back against Bruno Silva, and he was getting controlled for large periods portions of that fight against Bruno Silva, like a, hate to say it, but a watch version of Bruno Silva. And Bruno Silva's not really known for being a grappler. He's a striker, right? He's a boxing style striker, so I don't love to see that. And in his fight against, I'm probably butchering the name, Ragozin, his back was taken, and it looked like he was kind of saved by the bell. Now, Joilton Lutterbach, sorry, I'm butchering that name, guys. He has a ton of fighting experience. He's been fighting in multiple disciplines as well. He's been taking kickboxing fights in Glory. He's been taking fights in karate combat. And before that, even fought at, he's a middleweight now, but even fought at 155, which is crazy to think about, right? His style, he looks to be a jack of all trades type of fighter when it comes to his striking style. Even though he's taken some like kickboxing fights and some karate fights, I think he's an okay kickboxer. Like, I don't think he's world class. I don't think he's elite. He does leave his chin there for the opening, and is like very, very upright there. He also looks to be like a okay grappler. Now, how these two match up and paths to victory. Shara, he's obviously going to want to, keep this fight standing, where I believe he'll be the much, much more effective striker. And honestly, I do believe on the feet, he is a few levels above Lutterbach. If a fight stays standing, I think there's a good chance that Lutterbach will get knocked out. But for Lutterbach to win, I think his best path to victory is to get the grappling going and just grind on Shara, test that ground game, and have control on the mat. I'm going to have to pick Shara Magomedov here because I just think he's going to be the much, much more effective striker. I think the UFC likes this guy. They try and match him up nicely. He's more marketable. He's got a big fan base. He's got an exciting, fun style. So the UFC definitely likes this guy. And I think he's much, much more effective striker, right? And I don't think Lutterbach has a super, super strong offensive grappling game to win this fight for large periods of time. Of course, it is a concern of mine with the perceived grappling advantages that Lutterbach might have. No, I don't entirely trust Shara's ground game. So it's going to be a medium level confidence pick on Shara here. From a betting perspective, I'd much rather be on the Shara side here because I do not want to bet against his potential and upside. I think Shara is pretty good, very, very good striker, and he's backed by the UFC brass as well. And I think Shara's going to be one of those fighters that people are desperate to bet against and desperate to fade. But personally, I'm not really looking to get on that train until he's facing like really, really strong grapplers. From a live betting perspective, I think we could see a scenario where Lutterbach goes all out for the grappling. He could be having success grinding on him, and then he kind of just tires out and then possibly gets finished. So yeah, give me Shara Magomedov in this spot, medium level confidence. If you guys are enjoying the video, please, all I ask for is give me a like. Get 50 likes, and I'll do a best bets guide video for this card. So next fight we have here, we got chaos written all over this one, possibly. We got Volkan Ozdemir versus Johnny Walker. Now, Johnny Walker, he's formerly known for having a very, very unorthodox style of attack. Unknown for his unpredictable striking style, which included flying knees, spinning kicks, spinning attacks, powerful punches. But he's kind of switched up his style recently. He tries to fight a lot more smart and calculated. And even though he's very, very he's a good athlete, he's talented, I think that's probably a detriment to his striking style. And unfortunately, he does have, I hate to say it, he does have a glass chin, which does concern me, right? Now, when it comes to Volkan, he's mainly got a boxing style of attack. I'd say he's like a solid boxer for light heavyweight. He's like mid-level, I'd say. Maybe just above mid-level. And when it comes to his grappling, he likes to keep the fight standing mainly. He's capable at defending takedowns and working his way back up to the feet. But his flaw is that he does tire as the fight progresses, especially if you are able to make Volkan work. Now, how these two match up, Walker's probably going to want to fight a range, throw more at a more diverse style of attack, kicks, keep him at range, and avoid the heavy knockout shots of Volkan and him closing the distance. While Volkan is going to want to pressure Walker, push forwards, test that chin, and look for a possible knockout. Now, who I think is going to win, and from a prediction standpoint, I'm going to have a slight lean towards Johnny Walker here because I just think he has more striking diversity on the feet. I think he's the better athlete, and it's going to be a low-level confidence pick on Johnny Walker. From a betting perspective, it's a pick-em line at the moment. Now, I can definitely see it. I can see strong arguments for both sides, right? You can say Johnny Walker's got bad durability, Volkan's going to close the distance and knock him out, but I'm going to have a slight lean towards the Johnny Walker side. From a live betting perspective, this fight could be chaotic, but if the fight progresses and maybe Johnny Walker's just completely dominating and you get crazy odds on Volkan, you might want to have a little live bet on Volkan with the fact that at any point Volkan could secure the knockout. Or another scenario is Johnny Walker's just completely scoring in, looks a few levels above, just Volkan struggling to close the distance and get inside the range, get his attack going. Then you might want to live bet Walker early, but you've got to keep in mind that at any point the chin could go. So yeah, overall, Johnny Walker, low confidence. So next fight we have here, we got Melsik Baghdasaryan versus Mohamed Naimov. Now this is a tricky, complex fight to predict in my opinion. When it comes to the Melsik side, he is a southpaw kickboxing style of striker. He's got strong striking fundamentals when it comes to his boxing and kicks. He has shown a proneness to the defensive grappling aspect of the game. He is improving in this area, but he can definitely get exploited. The one fight that stands out to me is his Dana White Contender Series fight where he went all out for the kill and he kind of did slow and tie as the fight progressed. Now Naimov, on the other hand, he is an explosive striker with a boxing attack, known for his heavy hands. He's got some explosive kicks as well. He's like a decent offensive grappler. You can have success on top, like he did against Nathaniel Wood, for example. And he also has good takedown entries. He does look to fade and slow as the fight progresses. One thing that does concern me is that he was getting pieced up by Jamie Mullarkey. Jamie Mullarkey was kind of piecing him up until Naimov was able to find that big kill shot. You've got to keep that in mind against a kickboxer, right? Now, how these two match up, Naimov should close the distance, look to land heavy with his boxing, and then look to mix up his grappling, while Melsik should look to stay out of the power shots of Naimov, stop the takedowns, and look to outstrike Naimov and keep the fight pretty, and then win in that manner. Tricky fight to predict. I think there's going to be strong arguments on both sides of the spectrum. A lot of people are betting Naimov at the moment. This is one of those fights that I might have to have a discussion with a few people, and maybe they change my opinion, but I'm going to pick Melsik here. Maybe I'm obsessed with kickboxers, and I'll do like Melsik's kickboxing here, but I think he can keep out of danger, outstrike Naimov, but Naimov's probably going to have the more eye-catching moments with the judges. And Naimov's probably got the grappling path as well, if he can get his grappling going for 3 rounds. So it's definitely going to be a low-level confidence pick on Melsik here. From a live betting perspective, I think this fight could play out very, very competitive. You've got to watch out for both guys' gas tanks and who can perhaps implement their game plan. So next fight we have here, we got Kelvin Gastelum versus Daniel Rodriguez. Now I'm going to go over Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum has a southpaw boxing style, has strong boxing fundamentals, good speed, and good overall technique. He has an iron chin and he's fought some of the toughest guys inside the UFC and what the UFC can offer. He's got a wrestling background as well, which he uses defensively to keep the fight standing, and offensively he will look to mix up his grappling as well. to throw his opponents off, give him a different look. But overall, I do think like his overall grappling game's a bit overrated. Everyone seems to think Kelvin Gastelum's like a very, very strong defensive grappler, which I disagree with. Obviously, you can mix it up, but his boxing is definitely the strong suit of his overall style. Now, D-Rod, on the other hand, he's a southpaw boxer as well. I say he's like a good boxer. He tries to set things up for his power left hand. When it comes to the level, I'll say he's like just below the mid-level of the welterweights. And he does have a weakness when it comes to facing groiner wrestlers. How these two match up, I think this fight could play out as a competitive striking fight. That likely goes to a decision. But I'm going to have to pick Kelvin Gastelum here because I just think he's a little bit sharper, just a little bit better flow with his boxing techniques. He's a little bit young, which is crazy to think, right? Because we think that Kelvin Gastelum's been around for 20, 30 years. And overall, I do think he has better boxing combinations, has better footwork, and he could mix things up with his grappling. So because of that, all of that, it's going to be a medium level confidence pick on Kelvin Gastelum. Now, from a bettor perspective, we got Kelvin Gastelum as basically a 2-to-1 favorite. So you're not getting any discounts to be able to bet on Kelvin Gastelum in this matchup. He's more likely going to win, right? So that's why you're going to have him as favorite. And because of that, I'd much rather be on the Kelvin Gastelum side from a betting perspective. But this fight could play out competitive, and if it goes to scorecards, like who knows, right? From a live betting perspective, I think this is one of those fights that you score round by round, and you kind of hope that the fight's competitive, and you might want to target one of the guys if you have a strong read on who the judges are going to end up winning. But I'm going to pick Kelvin Gastelum here to win a decision. Next fight we have here, we got Pavlovich versus Alexander Volkov. Now, Pavlovich, he's a massive heavyweight, heavy-handed boxing style of heavyweight. Has very, very good boxing technique, skill, speed, and power, which is a rarity for heavyweights, right? Even though Tom Aspinall. And he also has nukes in his hands, bruv, like nukes. We haven't really, when it comes to grappling, we haven't really seen his grappling get tested. And we haven't seen him go to a decision since 2017. So keep that in mind, guys. Now, Volkov, on the other hand, he's a well-rounded striker. You know, he's a seasoned striker, diverse striking skill set, kicks, punches, knees, teeps. He looks to use striking volume and be accurate with his shots. And he looks to fight long, right? Because he's 6'7" with an 84-inch reach. And he tries to, keep out of danger, poke at people. And because Volkov's 6'7", I wonder, I'm kind of wondering if Pavlovich is going to be able to land his shots, but, because punching up on a taller guy is much more difficult, right? So how these two match up and paths to victories for both fighters. Pavlovich is going to want to look to utilize his boxing, look to land heavy, look to land his bombs, and look for a knockout by landing heavier shots. If not, look to grind out a win just by landing the harder shots in the rounds. Volkov, on the other hand, he's going to look to fight on the outside, stay out of danger of Pavlovich's nukes, and look to extend the fight, poke at Pavlovich, see if he can test that cardio. And yeah, I think the grappling won't really play much a factor in this matchup. I think it's mainly going to be a striking fight. Prediction standpoint, I think I'm going to have to go with Pavlovich here. I think he's the better overall striker. He has nukes in his hands. He has good boxing, speed, technique, and skill. And I think he's going to be much, much more faster than Volkov. Just overall younger, fresher fighter. So it's going to have to be a Pavlovich pick in the spot. I'm going to have a low to medium level confidence pick on this fight. From a betting perspective, even though Pavlovich got knocked out against Aspinall, obviously we all respect Aspinall, right? One of the best heavyweights in the game. You're not getting any discounts to be able to back him in this fight, right? Volkov, Volkov's a solid heavyweight. He's more proven. Pavlovich is a guy I still have question marks about. We haven't really seen him testing a high-paced 3-round fight in ages. And it is a heavyweight fight after all. These fights carry more significance and variance. And these are two solid fighters clashing. And if Volkov is able to survive that like initial blitz from Pavlovich, and Pavlovich maybe where it goes really, really hard for the kill and is not able to get it, then the fight could get sweaty. From a live betting perspective, I look for possibly Pavlovich to be able to stay out of the danger, and whether Pavlovich has good enough cardio to fight for hard 3 rounds. But overall, saying all that, guys, like I have to pick Pavlovich here, but when you're paying 1.40, 1.45 now, actually money's been coming in, which is around -250, I believe. You have to have a lot more of these questions answered, right? Because of the odds, there's less margin for error. But yeah, giving Pavlovich in spot, low to medium level confidence. I think he probably gets a knockout, if not decision. So we go to the main event of the evening, guys. If you guys enjoy the video, you get value from this content, you want me to keep producing it, and if you also want the betting guide video for this video, please get me to 50 likes, guys. And I also want to say I super duper appreciate you guys tuning in to the end and engaging with my content. It means the world to me. Also want to shout out everyone part of the money team. And yeah, without further ado, let's get into the breakdown for the main event. This is a good fight. Really, really looking forward to it. We've got Whittaker versus Ikram now. Ikram, solid, powerful striker with a preference to boxing. You throw some good teeps in there as well. He does a good job of gliding in and out with his shots, which I like. Comes from a sambo background, so he's got good offensive grappling capabilities. He's capable of taking down his opponents, controlling them, and look to fish for submissions and ground and pound. Robert Whittaker, on the other hand, is an extremely well-rounded fighter. He's fought the absolute best guys at middleweight. His resume is just insane. And he's the former champ. Robert Whittaker's style is mainly a high-level striker, has excellent technique, speed, precision for both his boxing and kicks. He also has excellent movement and footwork to evade strikes and create angles for his attacks. When it comes to his grappling, he's got a well-rounded grappling game. He's a very good offensive grappler / wrestler. He's capable of taking down his opponents and having top control. He also has a good takedown defense game and a good get-up game. One thing that does concern me is Rob's durability. I don't entirely trust his chin, so that is definitely a concern of mine in this spot. How these two match up, from a prediction standpoint, to me, this is like a big step up in competition for Ikram here. He could turn out to be amazing and the real deal, and I do like him as a fighter, but I'm going to have to pick Robert Whittaker here. It's just a much safer pick here. There's more footage on him against high-level guys. We know more about him. I do think he's the better, more well-rounded striker. So I'm going to pick Whittaker here. Low to medium-level confidence. Maybe, I don't know, struggling between a low to like a medium mid confidence pick here, just because of the unknowns with Ikram. Like, he could turn out to be amazing. From a betting perspective, I respect Ikram. I respect the potential upside he has. But Robert Whittaker should probably be a slightly bigger favourite just because he's more proven, there's more footage. I do think he's a better striker. But because of the hype, the line's much more closer. From a bet perspective, from my perspective, I think I'd rather be on, I don't know if I'm going to be betting this fight yet, but I think I'd rather be on the Robert Whittaker side. From a live bet perspective, Robert Whittaker's tested for 5 rounds, right? We've seen him go 5 rounds before. He's got that championship experience. I think it's one of those fights that you just got to score round by round, see how the two skill sets are matching, and yeah, try and get a read on the fight. But yeah, great fight. Really looking forward to it. So that's the end of the presentation. Thank you so much for tuning in to the end, guys. I super duper appreciate it. Make sure to, all that YouTuber stuff, like, comment, sub if you're feeling generous. And good luck with your bets this weekend, guys. And if I get 50 likes, I'll make the best bets video, guys. I know it's like kind of beggy, asking for likes and stuff, but You know, I put a lot of effort into these videos. I really do put my research in, and yeah. So yeah, cool. Thank you once again, guys. Super duper appreciate it. Yeah. Have a good rest of your day.